If you are navigating midlife as part of the sandwich generation, seriously, today's podcast is for you. I have unpicked some of the things that we never talk about when it comes to midlife, when it comes to our money, and our crisis isn't all about having a red sports car and a younger lover. No, we're going back. Our children are moving back home. Our parents are aging. It is overwhelming. And if you're tired of the overwhelm and need the path out, listen to today's podcast. Let's go. The Happy Money Journey team want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Welcome to my Happy Money Journey. I'm Phoebe Blamey, award-winning finance expert and founder, here with practical strategies and inspiring stories to help you take charge of your finances and live your best life. Let's dive in, because your journey to financial freedom starts now. Today's episode is sponsored by Entourage Finance and Property. Entourage is a finance and property advisory business whose mission it is to help Australians grow their wealth through property. With services including home loan lending, buyers and vendors advocacy, and car finance, Entourage supports Australians in achieving their home ownership dreams. Everything we talk about is general in nature. Specific advice to you can only be given by a finance professional. So if you need someone, reach out. Okay, so today I am going to talk about something that's a bit uncomfortable. It makes me kind of sad and feeling like I'm falling apart because I'm a Gen Z woman. And I don't know about all you other Gen Z women out there, but how often do you feel like you're just all by yourself and you're just getting it all wrong? Because I was at lunch the other day with a couple of friends and the struggles we're having, illness, homelessness, job loss, marital separations. There was this one woman there, and I will get to her later, that her life has just, when it was meant to be the best time of her life, suddenly she's taking on all this extra responsibility. And that is our midlife crisis. We are struggling so much with stress, with our identity, with aging, with our finances, with all these invisible expectations, and all this stuff just piles on. And it hits us really deeply, because our midlife crisis as women doesn't look like buying a red sports car. It's not running off with your younger lover. And let's be honest, I'd really like to sometimes, but it's not that. It's not the bad Tinder bios. It's not the getting back on the dating scene. It's the quietly Googling how much super we think we should have or how much we're going to need to retire. And I don't know if you've done this, but just getting home some days and just parking the car in the driveway and sitting there for 5 minutes. It's drinking too much wine. It's stopping reading the news and just doom scrolling through TikTok and Instagram. And it's trying to hold our shit together, trying to hold together our marriages, our families, our businesses, our jobs, our households, but slowly losing sight of ourselves. I had another friend say to me the other day that she'd leave her partner if she had more money. So let's get out of this, because we are the first generation to really grow up with some girl power. We had Madonna, we had Cyndi Lauper, we had uni degrees, we had permission to work. We could build careers, we could make choices. We had, was it Sigourney Weaver and what's her name? All those working girl type movies, Melanie Griffith. We had Sigourney Weaver and Melanie Griffiths in Working Girls. We had 9 to 5. We had all these things where we were getting empowered and getting our power back. Strong leaders like Margaret Thatcher and Indira Gandhi and Princess Diana. We had amazing role models out there. We could see it. We were told we could have it all, and we believed it. And I believe it still. I really do. But having it all at the same time can be a bit of a struggle. Because at the same time, we were also handed these much higher divorce rates, these insecure job markets. We're now looking after our aging parents. We're now caring for kids for longer in our homes. They've got more needs. We've got fewer support systems. We don't have necessarily our own parents around because we chose to have children when we were a bit older. And we've got an economy that's chewed through all our savings. And this whole patriarchal bullshit that we get handed all the time. Because we've got the largest gender investment gap in the world's top 20 economies. Women over 45 are the fastest growing group of homelessness in Australia. We've got a dreadful domestic violence problem. And so when the shit hits the fan, when the relationships break down, when the health issues, the job loss, we often don't have a financial buffer to fall back on. And I'm tired of thinking about it. So as I said the other day at lunch, I'm sitting there. I didn't know this woman very well, but this is her story. She's 62. Both of her daughters in their 30s have moved back home. One's got a child and she's also getting away from a domestic violence situation. The other one, I don't know why she's moved back home. I don't know this woman very well at all. But she's incredible. She's exhausted. She's holding it all together. She looks stylish and beautiful and all the things, but you can tell she's somewhat on autopilot. She's being treated like a mum at home and she's still acting like mum. She's like mum to the little kids. But no one is putting her first. She's cooking, she's cleaning, she's looking after her grandchild, she's making space for her child to heal. And then comes the next hit. Her admin role job, which is not very specialised and not very great, is about to be made redundant. So now she's not secure. She's staring at this giant void and thinking, what now? Talking about how she doesn't know who she is anymore. She's lost. And this is what so many of us midlife looks like. We've given up everything. We give our home and our hearts and our energy and our money, and we don't keep anything for ourselves. And we tell ourselves that that's what love is. We tell ourselves it's selfish to stop. But if she keeps living like this, if you do, her future just gets smaller and smaller and more isolated. And one day she's going to wake up and realise kids are healed, kids are fine, and there's nothing there. So what do we do? What do we do for her? Well, I'd say, and I didn't get into this because we were at lunch and it just didn't seem like an appropriate forum because I just get into fixing mode so quickly, but it really was on my mind. And we start not with a full plan, not with perfection. We just start taking tiny little steps. Can she charge the girls rent, even if it's a small amount? It's not about the money, it's about the message. It's about her time, her space, her efforts. It's about having value. Can she create a roster? Can she start talking about cooking and cleaning and childcare? Because she's not the maid. She's not the default. She's one person and she matters too. And we want to support. And we definitely, obviously want to support a daughter that's going through domestic violence. We want to help her and heal her. And no, I know from personal experience that possibly her daughter feels, and she feels much safer having her daughter there, and it's worth it. But we also need to be looking at, there's the domestic violence payment up to $5,000 that might be able to help her daughter find some safe housing. She doesn't have to stay. She does have options, and eventually she's going to be able to use some of those options. It doesn't have to be right away. I've been in this situation, as I said. Also, she's 62. Are they speaking to her as she's going through her redundancy about transition to retirement? Has she spoken to her super fund? Does she even know about it? Because if you're over 60 and still working, you can be drawing on your super as supplementary tax-free income, or you can keep working, contributing, scale back on work, take a little bit of super as a supplement. The word is transition to retirement. And whatever you do, speak to your super fund about it when you're around 58 and see what you can do about getting to that point of being able to use some of your super for some things. I don't know if she was renting or if she owned her place, but rent assistance, job seeker, energy support, age pension planning, all the options. Centrelink aren't going to come and knock on the door for her. She's got to get control. She's got to understand that no one from Centrelink is going to come and knock on her door and say, here's some free money. You've got to be the one taking control. You've got to be the one getting out there, getting curious, not getting defeated, because we get defeated. And also, we don't need to fix everything overnight. We just need to start getting curious. We need to start asking better questions. This has happened to me. Where can I get some help? Where can I get some support? What could possibly go right for me in this situation? Because, our generation as a whole has been economically hammered. That's men and women. We've entered the workforce during a recession. We've missed out on boom years. We've lost wealth in the GFC, in COVID. But we are also some of the most educated women in history, even though some of us are more broke than our parents were at the same age. But in Australia, we're retiring with about $300,000 less than a man, because the average super balance for women of 50 is around 165,000, and for a man it's 267,000, and we live longer. So what are we doing? And here's the thing, we think it's our fault. We think that we didn't try hard enough, budget hard enough. We skipped a step somewhere. We didn't screw up. We were just sold into a system that didn't factor us in. We weren't told to buy our own homes. We were told to wait until we were married to buy a home. And that marital home, that nest egg that we built together, we lose it when we get divorced. And often we don't want to move into something smaller. So we end up renting. And we're not making good choices with the resources that we have available to us. And it's because we don't know any better. School doesn't teach us. Our superannuation fund isn't helping us. The government isn't helping. Nobody is there teaching us what we need to do to get economically in control. And I had this friend who I met when he was in his 50s, and he sadly passed away now, but I met him when he was in his 50s, and he was in a really good position. He was a consultant. He was earning tons of money. He had money in the bank. He'd just broken up from a relationship, and he was living in inner eastern Melbourne suburb, not far from where I live. And I remember having a conversation with him at that time and saying to him, hey, there's these 1-bedrooms that look really cool going down the street. They're not very expensive. You should get one. Get one. Rent it out. Depreciation tax effect on a new property, like tax break, all the things, until you want to move into it. He was in a position where he could have got a loan if he needed one, but it wouldn't have had to be a big one because he had, as I said, he had some cash. He didn't buy that house. He kept renting. And for a few more years, he stayed in the place he was in, him and his dog. And they stayed in that place for a while, and then that landlord put the rent up. So then he moved into another place. But, by this time, his consultancy work had kind of dried up, and the partner that he'd been working with had decided to do something else. So he was alone and he wasn't getting as much work. He was still getting work. He was still doing quite well. So he moves a little bit further out and he's renting something a little bit smaller. And then that place was getting sold, so he needed to find somewhere else. And he found himself really at a loss because he had the dog and it was really difficult to get a place with the dog. So he had to give up the dog. Then he's in this new place for a while and he's still seeing the dog and he's hopping on the tram and he's still seeing his friends and doing all the things. It's just a little bit further out. So he's still in a position, though, that he could do something. He could buy a house. He could buy a little 1-bed. He could actually do something. But he wants to be, I don't know. I feel like by then he's maybe given up. Obviously didn't keep hammering him about this concept. But his next move, and this is his last move, because by this he's getting quite old and he's a little more frail and he can't find anywhere to live. So he has to move into a shared accommodation out in outer suburbs with shared bathroom and shared kitchen facilities with other men that have found themselves in that same position. And that's where he lived. And in that story, to me, there are a number of small moves that he could have made earlier to shore up himself financially. Or this is where we don't get the right advice or we don't get the right information, and this leaves us in this netherworld of homelessness or economic instability as we get older. So learning about it now, to me, is something that is absolutely my passion, and stopping people ever being in that guy's situation is my absolute mission. Because at the same time all this is happening to us, of course, we're getting the hot flushes, we're getting the insomnia, we're getting the brain fog, we're getting the rage. I had a male friend the other day talking to me about his wife's crazy while she's in menopause, and I'm just saying, you know what, mate, it won't last, and hang in there. It's pretty shit for us as well, actually. But that hormonal war zone we're dealing with at the same time as we're dealing with divorce, job loss, all that sort of stuff just adds to it. And we're experiencing so much of this in isolation. I know that my mother didn't talk to me very much about it. I was doing things and I was forgetting what I was saying when I was mid-sentence, and I was trying to run a business, and I'd be angry or I'd be hot or I'd be something. And I felt like those few years were just so uncomfortable. And at the same time as trying to manage all that, we've got our mortgages, our businesses to run, our families, and possibly at the same time, we've got partners that are running off having a midlife golf crisis and buying a sports car. So no wonder we get into these positions, because it's just crazy. So we start asking ourselves questions like, can I afford to retire? Why am I suddenly invisible? Will I ever stop being so fucking tired? Who am I now that my kids are growing and nobody needs me 24/7? And it's not about sitting there and journaling and doing yoga. It's about the systemic pressure that we feel. It's about the existential dread that we feel. It's about Centrelink wait times. It's about fear. And what do we need to do to get rid of the fear? I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. And I'd think it too. The last thing that you want to do now is learn something new. You don't want to start getting in control of your money when someone else has been driving that financial bus for you. But by choice or by chance, it's going to happen anyway. So given that, it might as well happen now while you're a little bit in control. And I know you've got a high mental load. It's sky high. You've got aging parents, teenage kids, business deadlines, unpaid cleaning work, admin, and the hormone party happening in your body. And one more thing can seem a little bit insurmountable. So don't take it on as one big thing. Start small. Find the little glimmers in your life. Like, what makes you feel wealthy? My feeling wealthy is having a clean house, having some little gourmet snacks in the fridge, and being able to sit and do the Sunday crossword with a cup of coffee looking out the window at my garden. And it's not having all the lists. It's not having all the things that I need to do. It's giving myself some peace and some time, because that peace and that time is the feeling of being wealthy. So look for things that make you feel calm and in control, because that's wealth of time, wealth of health, wealth of money. And find those things and then budget around them, prioritize them, rebuild with tiny acts of care that send a message to your nervous system that say, I come first, I'm safe, I'm worthy, I'm allowed. Because once you feel that little 5% more in balance, then you can start thinking about bigger things. Where I've just done a whole lot of work on the spend cleanse, which is 2 very small things every day. One is a mantra in the morning, and the other one is one small task every day for 30 days. Tiny steps. We've got the free downloadable calendar for you. Jump onto the free resources. I'm going to put some of them on our YouTube channel as well, because I think not everyone's in a position where they want to commit to 30 days. It could seem overwhelming, but it's also a little bit of a freebie out there just to help you get started, because you can't change everything overnight. You are not you're not a Pinterest makeover. You are not a before and after photo. You are the work that goes into the middle of that thing. You are a human woman in midlife, rebuilding your life in actual real time. You've still got to do the grocery run. You've still got to answer the 48 emails. You've still got to take the dog for a walk and take care of your family and do all the things. So be gentle with yourself about it. Be slow. Be kind to yourself. But know that every small step you take now counts toward how you are making up your future. It compounds. It adds up. And that's what we're trying to do here, because we don't want to end up living in a shared accommodation house. We don't want to end up feeling overwhelmed because we're giving and giving and giving to everyone. We want to be in a position where, as we walk into our retirement years, we feel strong and certain and in control. Look at the small steps. Know what you're spending, what you're earning, and what's going to happen in your life over the next 5 years, and how you can start preparing for that now. And stop blaming yourself. Retire the guilt. Midlife isn't your fault. It's your opportunity. This is your opportunity. We've got resources, but there are 100 billion resources out there. Talk to someone, talk to a money coach, talk to me, talk to a therapist, talk to some of the financial helpers at your super fund, at Anglicare, at Centrelink. Talk about what's available to you and work it out. You're not alone, so don't go through this alone. And then once you've got those little foundations sorted out, then start dreaming again. Start looking for the things that you want, how you want to live your life, what you want to become. Because I really feel like when we start to fall apart, it is a great opportunity for a rebuild. The reason we're so damn tired all the time is that we were promised so much and then we were blamed when we couldn't carry it all. But here's what you really need to know. This is not your midlife crisis. This is your alignment. It's your redesign. It's your awakening. This is your comeback tour. So if you need it, take the nap, eat the chocolate, get angry, put up boundaries, and then get back up and start building the life that you want next. Because this can be your most unapologetically wealthy, peaceful, joyful decade yet. And what I want for you most of all is that you enjoy the journey. Even when things seem insurmountably hard and overwhelming some days, if we don't start now, if we don't start owning this and taking those tiny, tiny steps and letting those tiny, tiny steps accumulate into the life that we imagine, then we're giving our time, energy, and effort to the wrong things. We need to be inspired. We need to be the change we want to see in our lives. And most of all, we need to start the bigger conversations about women and money, because midlife is your next chapter. This is the next episode. This is the comeback tour. And I want you to enjoy this journey. And I know you can. Thank you very much for listening. If you've got a friend who's quietly falling apart and pretending she's fine, share this episode with her. We've got this. This is the comeback tour. And I will see you again next week. Meanwhile, as I always say, enjoy your journey.
Thanks again to Entourage Finance and Property for sponsoring today's podcast. You can find out more about what Entourage can do for you at entourage.com.au.
The information shared on my happy money journey is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal or professional advice. While I am a financial educator, the advice given may not be suitable for your individual circumstances. Always consult with a qualified financial professional before making any significant financial decisions. The views expressed are my own and do not necessarily reflect those of any associated organisation. Listener discretion is advised.